Hi guys, so let us solve the next question in the series, which is the trapping rainwater problem. So I might have solved this question before, but we will solve it again. So um, as you can see, I have solved this question before. So what we will do is we will try to solve this question again, right? So given non-negative integers representing an elevation map where the width of each bar is 1, compute how much water it is able to trap after raining. So you can see that the blue color indicates the water which is being trapped, and black color denote the kind of rectangular bars, and in the gaps there will be water which is trapped. So we need to compute the total amount, compute how much water it is able to trap after raining. So we need to compute the sum of all these possible water traps, right? So what we can do over here in this question is, so this is also a famous question from the coding perspective. So we should know that we will be using stack to solve this question. So we can also use dynamic programming to solve this question, but we will discuss about the approaches in the later half of the video. So currently we are using stack to solve the problem. So basically, if we are using a stack to solve the problem, then we should keep in mind that what exactly is the logic for pushing and popping elements from the stack, right? So let us say that the element which is currently at the top of the stack, right? So basically we will be making one for loop, and inside that for loop, the let's say let me try to give you a glimpse of the approach that I would be trying to use is, so basically if you look at the graph, the highest pillar, the one with is having height of 3, the that one. So basically what we want is, so for each pillar, for each pillar we will try to compute we will try to compute the bounds of this pillar, right? So we will try to compute the left bound and we will try to compute the right bound. Now what do I mean by the word bound? That is, so let us say we will look for all the possible indices in these heights, and for each and every height I will try to store the I will so for each and every possible height I will try to find out what is the left bound and right bound. That means what is the immediate right entry which is greater than this height, and what is the immediate left entry which is greater than this height. So let us say I have an array like 3, 2 and 4. Then I will say that the bound of 2 is this on the left and this on the. Now, why I am doing this? Because if you notice that, then you will. If you notice that once I have the bound of the on the left hand side and the right hand side, then I am sure that in this particular the water can rise into up to a maximum of 3 comma minimum of 3 comma 4, right? So in this also, if I have only these three, then I know that the water in the bar and in the bar which is at a height 2 can go only up to the height of 3, right? So we will try to compute the left bound and the right bound for each and every element. So yeah, so now this element which we are talking, for which we are trying to compute the bounds, this element will be the top of the stack at any moment of time, right? So what we will do is, so let's say we create a stack of integers st. Now for it I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, right? So basically stack will be like this. So if there is any element at the top of the stack, right, and if there is any element at the top of the stack, and the element just below it will be its lower bound, and the element which is the ith, which is the element which we are looping through, I will try to find out all those top indices for which this ith element can act as a upper bound, and compute the answer for all those ith elements, and then I will push the ith element into the stack. So basically, initially we need to get rid of the initial zeros, right? So you can see that the first entry in the picture is a 0. So basically, all the initial zeros are of no use to us, right? So let us say we have the starting index as 0, right? So let us name it as h instead of heights. So we also need to define our n over here. So let's say the n is, so let's say the n is h dot size, the size of the heights vector, right? So while st is less than n, and h of ht plus plus is equal to 0, right? So now I don't need this because st is doing the work which I want to do. Yeah. So now what I want is this ht, right? So let us say we are storing the answer over here somewhere, right? So if the stack is not empty, this is one criteria, first criteria that we need to check, and the second criteria that we need to check is if the element. So we will be pushing indices into the stack, right? So if the stk dot top will give me the indice and h of it will give me the height. So if this height is less than, okay, so now we need to think, do we require an equality sign over here or not? So we do not require an equality sign. Why? Because if there are, let's say there is an array, let's say there is an array of 3 3 and 3, then we cannot hold any water in this, right? We cannot hold any water inside this. So I think equality won't matter, as in case of even 3 to 3, sorry, 3 to 2. Water, there is no way in which we can say that water which is present at the top of this is bounded. Why? Because if I will fill some water at the top of this, it will flow through this gap of 2. Right? So what we want is a strict inequality, that the current element which we are serving, right? This is the current height, and if this height is greater than the height of the top of the stack, the element at the top of the stack, that means we have got the right bound, right? So what we will do is I will say the index of the top is TP. I will make it as the, I will store it in the TP variable, the top index, and then I will pop my array. I will pop my stack, right? So now if the stack is non-empty, so after popping this element, that means I have the lower bound for this as well, right? So if, because we said that for this we, so for each and every element we want the lower bound and the upper bound as well. So if the stack is not empty after popping the top element, that means we have a lower bound, right? So if we have the lower bound, then how we will compute the answer? So for the case, so also for example, if we have, let's say 3 2 and 4 is, and we know that for 2 we have the lower bound and we have the upper bound as well, right? So how much water more it can store? It can store minimum of 3 comma 4 minus 2, right? It can store minimum of 3 comma 4 minus 2 as the bound, as the more amount of water. So what we need to do is answer plus equal to a minimum of what minimum do we need to make? So we need to compute the minimum of stk dot top, which is the low left bound, and similarly st, right? This is the right bound. So this minimum we need to subtract from h of tp, right? So this will give me the height. Now also we need to multiply. So basically, let's say we have few ones over here. So if this is the 2, then we need to multiply. So we need to multiply it with the index of the right bound minus left bound, and also minus 1, because both the entries will not be there, right? So what I am trying to say is, so for this particular 2, we can fill the water, we can fill 1 unit of water because 3 is the minimum, so 3 minus 2 is 1. We can fill 1 unit of water in all of this, right? In all of this we can fill this 1 unit of water, because you see, while comparing, while computing the answer for this particular one, we said there would be a lower, so there would be an upper, a lower bound of 2, right? Lower bound of 2, because there would be this is the right bound, this is the left bound, so the minimum is 2, right? So at any given time, we will have computed the answer only up to the minimum bound, right? So at the point when we are computing the answer for the minimum bound, right? So for example, over here 1, we would have filled the water only up to 2, because 2 was minimum between 2 and 3. But when we came at 2, we also need to take care of all those entries which are between the lower bound and the upper bound, because we have not filled the water in those entries as well. So what we will do is we will multiply uh, indices to get the length. We will multiply with the, yes, indices to get the length. So the current indices is st. So this st is kind of misleading. It should be ed, but let's say st. We will just work with this and stk dot top and -1. Why -1? Because we do not want to include any of the borders, right? Yeah. So once we have stored our answer, the next important thing is to yeah. There is nothing important over here, I guess, because we are done with this. We have popped the element. Yeah, we have computed the answer. Yeah, we are good to go now. Now, second thing is if the stack is empty, right? So let us say there is no left bound for the given input, right? So let us say there is no left bound. That means let's say we have an array of 3, 4. If there is no left bound, that means there is no one which is greater on the left hand side. Then can we store water over here? That is the question. Can we store any water in this? No. Why? No. Why? Because if we will store any water in this bar, what will happen is it will flow through the left hand side. Why? Because there is no boundation on the left hand side. So there is no else in this case, right? Now, the second thing is what if this completes, then we also need to push the ith index, the st index into the stack, right? Because there we need to find bounds on the left and right for each and every um, pair, for each and every index, right? So once we are done with this, it might be possible that the stack still remains unempty, right? So might be possible that the stack remains unempty. Now, if this stack is not empty, what does this mean? This means that there are elements in the stack for which the upper bound, for which there is no upper bound, right? So there is no upper bound on the right hand side, right? So there is no boundation on the right hand side. So um, do we need to take care of those elements, right? So this is the question. The question is, do we need to take care of elements which do not have any boundation? So this is a so like we ignored the elements which were present on the left hand side. We should also ignore those elements which do not have any right foundation. So I think we can return the answer over here, but if our logic needs to be updated, then we will surely look into it. The answer is okay. So once we have computed this answer, we can also I think we have made some mistake somewhere. So basically, what we have done over here is we have popped out all the elements which are less than h of st in the value. So when we push this st, then we are sure that the element which is below st is either equal to st or it is greater than st, but we do not want the elements which are equal to st to be present into the I think this equality does not play any big role because whenever we will be computing the minimum, uh, it would be immensely weak to handle it. So, the point is that I am losing some condition. So let us try to focus more on the on the image that we have. So okay, Okay. So I got my error. So if you see in the image, they have clearly given a great image. Why? Because on the left hand side there is a bar for which there is no right foundation, but still it is contributing because it has a left foundation, right? So in this case, if it is if so over here what we told that if there is no so if the stack is empty, that means they have no left foundation, but they can always contribute if they have a right foundation, right? So we know that there is a right foundation. Why? Because h of st is the right foundation, so they will contribute into the answer. And what they will contribute is the but minimum. So we do not have any minimum. It is straightforward h of st minus h of tp and into. So now in this case, this is st minus um, index of tp, right? And yeah, no, I think this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. Yes, this is wrong. Why? Because let's say first of all comes this bar one, right? So we push it into the one. Why? Because the vector is empty, stack is empty. Next comes zero, but zero is not less than zero is not greater than one. So we push zero again into the vector. Next comes two. Now when the two comes, zero is less than two, right? And we have the one on the left hand side as well. So zero is already contributing there. So I think this contribution is big. Why? Because when we are at the particular histogram, then we only need to take care of what all values are going to come above it into the in the histogram, right? So I have already done this question many a times, as you can see. So let us take some reference to the code which we have already submitted 3 months, 1 week ago. So what I did was, if the stack is not empty, so I haven't made any while loops. Okay, yeah, I have made these while loops, but I have added an extra condition, which means if the height is less, then I will push. That is obviously what I am doing after the end of while loop. And while height of I is greater than, okay, so I am using this less than equality. So yeah, we are doing the same thing, right? I think we are doing the same thing. Low, we have the low. Yeah, see, even they have done this. If the stack becomes empty, then they will break. So we are doing the same thing. I think we are doing the pretty much same stuff which they are doing, but still we are not getting the answer. Why? Because there is, so it was previously like this only, if you remember correctly. But the answer is still showing to be wrong because we are missing somewhere something which is seriously hampering our growth. Okay, I think I don't know what the error is. So maybe we can start to debug on a sample test case. Oh shit. Instead of this if, it should be a while. Shit man. Because we are popping out each and every entry. Okay. Now I think we are good to go. Yeah, we are good to go. Sorry for the delay. But yeah, this was the while and not this is redundant. We do not need it. This is all. I think this is the most optimized way to do it. There are solutions with DP as well, where in the dynamic programming solution, what we do is, let's say this is the bar. Let's say there is a bar, and we want to find out how much water it can have in above it at max. So what we will do is we will try to compute what is the left max and what is the right max for this particular index. So the question reduces to, given an array, you have a particular index, you need to find out what is the maximum up to that index from left hand side, and what is the maximum up to that index from the right hand side. Now you just take the minimum of those two and subtract it from the current size, and then you're good to go, right? So this is the approach of the DP as well. You can read the solution over here. I do not want to take much time, so let's dive on to the next question.